So let's take a look how the watch disease is going in 2021. And for those of you that saw the 2020 video, there'll be a link in the description if you didn't, I think I'm doing quite well. I've actually reduced the numbers and focused more. So I think you guys are going to be quite impressed, but let's take a closer look. So hello, welcome back to another video. My name's James, I run Kibble Watches here in Clerkenwell, London. We buy and sell pre-owned watches, we do some new watches, we do straps, we do everything. There isn't anything we don't do. But today we're not going to be talking about any of that. We're going to actually be having a look at the state of my collection, and it is a bit of a state and we'll get into that. But 2021, what's happened, where have some pieces gone? There's some watches that are still here, and a lot of you are going to be very happy to see that, and some much more impressive new watches, which I can't wait to get into. But on wrist is nothing because everything's here pretty much. There is a few watches that aren't on the table. For those of you that watched the last video, I think there was like an Oris, a vintage Oris, vintage Racquetta, a couple of vintage Citizens, some pocket watches. I think all of those are still in my collection. They're just maybe like darted around for like props in the office, maybe in some boxes. I can't really remember where some of them are, but they are still in my possession. But for the core of it, I thought I'd get the main watches in my collection out. And where do we begin? I mean, I guess we're going to have to start with the watch that started it all. That's still in my collection right now. And for those of you who've been following for a long time, you'll recognize exactly what this is. This is a 1970s Citizen Eagle 7, I believe 1974 to be exact. And I am very, very lucky to still have this in my collection. I paid £13 for it, probably 6 years ago now. And this watch was something I cherished. It had a Jubilee bracelet, which I believe I still have somewhere, but has fallen apart because I wore it pretty much every day and was not light on this watch at all. This watch has been serviced twice. Once because I smashed it to pieces and it needed a lot of work, but we got there. Miota inside. You know, this is the perfect sort of gateway drug for me into the watch world, because £13, it wasn't a lot of money. They had all these different kind of ones on eBay, and I just got so carried away very, very quickly, and ended up with about 10 of them. And that's pretty much what started this. Actually, I think there was more than that. It was about 20, 25. And all these watches were piling up, piling up, piling up, and I decided to start making videos and putting these watches for sale on a website. And I started making little bits of profit here, there, and it kept building up until we are here today with an office in Clerkenwell and doing pretty well. So it's all thanks to this watch. I don't wear it very often, but when I do, it's one of those special occasions. I actually wore it, I think, briefly on my birthday, and I'm probably going to wear it briefly on Christmas Day as well, and probably New Year. It's like weird. I wear this watch on these significant occasions rather than some of my more significant watches. But again, that just goes to show, you know, value in terms of personal value outweighs intrinsic value and cost. Big time. But saying that, it is on a Fears strap, which is on their new archival piece, a very, very nice strap, and probably, I want to say maybe close to 6, 7, 8 times the price of what the watch cost me. I think there's quite a nice sort of paradox there in this watch, but a really great watch, one I'm very happy to have. And I think there, I mean, shall I put values on screen? I don't know. Is that just a bit weird? Who cares about the values? We're talking about the watches. Let's keep to it. Now, from the watch that's been in my collection the longest to a watch that's been in my collection probably second longest now, and that is this 1975 Zenith Defy. Now, looking at this, you can immediately tell where the inspiration for this incredible watch is from, and that is Gerald Genta, specifically the Royal Oak and the Nautilus. But as you heard, 1975, so this actually predates the Nautilus release by 1 year. I believe I've got that right. And the Royal Oak was obviously released first. So is there any official hand from Genta in this watch? No, but is there rumoured to be on different things? And yes, there's things he apparently designed that aren't official. This could be one of them. I don't know, but who cares? It's a really cool looking watch. And for those of you who have handled and felt the original Royal Oak and the original Nautilus, the bracelets are very, very flimsy. They don't actually feel that good, whereas this is a solid bit of kit. Like, the links are incredibly thick, solid pieces of metal. Granted, a push press clasp, but then that was always the case back then. And for those of you looking at this watch right now and you haven't seen it since the last state of the collection, you're going to be wondering, how come it looks brand new now? Now, I got it serviced and I got it fully polished, and it's something you should not do as a watch collector. We're always told, and myself included, with vintage watches, especially in unpolished condition, leave them alone. But I decided not to. So I got a brand new crystal from Zenith, one of probably 3 left that they had. I got the case fully done by a very, very good polisher who actually uses the same machines and the same techniques that Audemars Piguet use on their bracelets, hence the finishing on this, and we'll do our best to show you on the video as well. Incredible, incredible, and I love it even more now. I always loved this watch, but having it like this is incredible. To have a piece of history this good looking and this amazing. It's quite an interesting story with this one. I've told it a few times, but what I'll do, actually, I'm going to overlay a little video I did for watch collecting strategy, or watch strategy collecting. Apologies if I've absolutely butchered that. I'll put which one it is and a link to his channel as well. He asked me to partake in a video that hopefully will be out soon, to keep an eye out for that. But I'll overlay the video of why this watch is so important to me. A great story to it. It is a watch I have sold twice, and it has come back to me both times. So initially I traded a Tissot Visidate for this watch. It was a straight trade probably 6 years ago now. And it was such a good deal and such a good trade in my view. And the other guy was over the moon to have the Visidate. So it was a win-win there. And obviously 5-6 years ago, these weren't as desirable as they are now. Granted, they're still not massively desirable, but compared to then. So I did the straight trade, and then I decided to sell the watch. I really liked the watch, but 5-6 years ago, every watch had to be sold. I could not keep a single watch for me. So lo and behold, the watch gets sold for a reasonable amount of money, nice decent profit, and I'm very happy. That gentleman owns it for about 3-4 months, and he sees another watch on our website, so he wants to part exchange. And I say, okay, no problem. We take the watch back, part exchange, and I get to enjoy it for about a month. And then I go, you know what, I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to keep hold of it. And that does happen. I keep hold of the watch for a very long time. But then the next step of the business, and being a watch dealer, you always need capital. So I had to then let go of the watch again. So yes, I sold it again, and this time to a very good collector, someone I'm still in contact with today, and he enjoyed the watch for quite a while, I want to say, close to a year. And then he had another aspirational piece, and most of his watches got sold, including this one, back to me, thankfully. And since then, it has stayed with me. It came back from service in a full polish. Okay, so from there to a watch I got this year, and I am very, very happy to be one of 5 owners who have this watch in the world. This is the Fears Brunswick Brown. Now, when this was released, it was open. Basically, you had to be on the website at the right time. And me, like everyone else, I had to play fair, and I had to wait my turn to try and get this watch. And luckily, I was one of the 5 people, paid full retail like everyone else. And I'm still yet to do my full review of this. I will get around to it eventually, I promise. But what an incredible watch. A gorgeous watch with a brown dial, the Brunswick, the classic case shape, in my opinion, from Fears and what they do. You know, some people who don't understand who Fears are, they might see this and think of Panerai. This is actually based on a very early watch from the Fears archive in sterling silver. So they actually have the history and heritage there to use this kind of design. Not that they wouldn't anyway, because it's not the same case as Panerai. But incredible, incredible history. I know Nicholas very well. We are actually stockists of Fears, so it's only fitting I have a Fears watch. I actually have 2. We'll talk about that one later. But, you know, inside here, ETA 7001, so manually wound. Resale value, who knows, who cares? You know, no one's ever publicly sold a modern Fears as of the time we're recording this video, because he's sold specifically to collectors who keep their watches. And this is a watch I guarantee will never leave the collection. I love it. And to have, as I say, 1 of 5, I've actually got number 2 of 5, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I think it's amazing. Paired on a strap tailor strap, also straps we sell on the website. But I've owned this strap since 2 weeks after getting the watch. So before there was even any talk of us having strap tailor straps, I've always had his straps. I think they're incredible. And the tone of brown of this suede matches that dial beautifully, and it really tones it down to me. You know, with what I'm wearing today, it just looks incredible. I think that's a really good colour tone, and for the colder months and autumn and all that kind of stuff, I think it's a killer watch. So I'm very, very honoured and happy to have this in my collection. Probably gets the 2nd most wrist time in my collection, I'd say. So a very cool piece. So we've gone through a few watches now, but let's go and have a look at a watch another watch that I'm really happy to own and actually wear quite a lot. I think it actually might be up there with almost my most worn watch of the year, almost. So there's going to be a common story here that I get watches in as stock and I end up falling in love and keep it. Oftentimes that means keeping it for a little while, but eventually it does go up for sale. So for example, this year I've been fortunate enough to have a Rolex gold cushion case in the collection for a while, but again, it was with the business going to be sold. A couple of other really gorgeous Amigas, but this one is one that has stayed and is likely going to stay. And this is an Amiga Deville dynamic chronostop. It's a real weird watch. So basically it was made, the story goes that it was made between 1970 and 71 by an Italian designer. And it was only made during that time. Rumours are it didn't sell very well or production just wasn't very good. But basically, as you can see, you've got an Amiga dynamic in terms of the case, this round case. You've got a chronostop, as in the stop, start, reset, all for a single pusher. And a 1 minute chronograph, that's what the chronostop is. And you've got a Deville stated dial, so with this grey fume dial, really interesting, really unique, and not something you see often. And when I got it in for stock, and I didn't say it was for sale and I kept it, I had a lot of people asking me for one, so I sourced them and they're getting very difficult to find. I managed to get this for a very good price in my opinion when I got it. But I really do think that in a few years this is going to be a very sought after watch. Again, we can never know for sure, but I think when you take into account all of the design cues and the rarity for it only being made for as long as it was made, and the dial variations, I think this is one of the nicest. From Amiga, let's go to a trench watch. So, similar story to the Zenith. I bought this in as stock a long time ago. I paid a very good price for it and I sold it to a very good collector, a very good friend who actually hopefully will be watching this video. And I regretted it. I regretted selling it. It was something, like I said, with other watches I kept in the collection for a couple of months and eventually decided, okay, it has to go. So I sold it to him. He thoroughly enjoyed it. And I've got to be honest, I forgot I sold it to him. So I couldn't remember who I sold it to. And one day he comes in with some watches he wants to sell and he pulls this out. And immediately there and then I knew I had to have it. So I bought it back off of him. It's gone into the personal collection. It's hopefully one I'm going to keep for a long time. But this is a 1918 trench watch. Inside is a Movado stroke Talus movement. So there's a connection there. So it's technically a Movado Talus trench watch. As I say, 1918, you've got the original porcelain or enamel dial with that radium, which is original radium on the dial. The hands have unfortunately been reloomed at some point. When, I don't know, I think probably 20, 30 years ago, to be honest, looking at it. Original crown, all sterling silver, really gorgeous. And I mean, to find a watch like this, and 1918, it's over 100 years old, this is officially antique, is just fascinating to me. The fact it still works, still tells the time somewhat well. It's not very accurate, but then again, I mean, who cares when you're wearing something like this? And as I say, with the Fears, with the colour scheme, when I'm wearing something like this and then sort of more neutral tones, I think this looks absolutely incredible on wrist, and I love it. I love this kind of stuff. I actually wore this watch when I went to see the film. Oh, what was it called? Was it called 1918? Is that the film? I'll put it on screen if I've got it wrong. But it was the film that was shot in all one continuous take. Incredible cinematography. And they were wearing trench watches in that film. As I say, I'll put the film on screen if I've got it wrong. But I wore this watch to go watch that film in the cinema, and it was incredibly special. I really regretted selling it, so I'm very happy to have this back. I wonder how many more watches next year will be like this that I've sold that I regret that I get back. So yeah, I'm happy to have this one. Was it 1918? Does that ring? 1917. We'll put that in. It was 1917, not 1918. Close. Ah, so close. So sticking to vintage, I think. And you can see that I don't have a theme of... Do I have a theme of a collection? I mean, I don't really have any complicated watches. I guess I do have a theme, actually. Quite clean aesthetics. Because everything seems to be clean aesthetics or insanely weird, funky 70s. It's either one or the other. I don't think there's really much in between. But sticking to vintage, let's have a look at another very special watch, and that is this Medo Multifort. So for those of you who have been following me for a while, I never shut up about Medo. I think they are the best thing in vintage right now, and so much to be had. This is a Mido, likely from mid to late 40s. I can't date it precisely, but I suspect from there. It has a Francois Bourgel case, the exact same case used by Patek Philippe, to the point where if you took this case back off and you found the Patek Philippe Calatrava that this is the same case to, that case back would fit on the Patek Philippe Calatrava. To me, that is insane. You've got the same iconic Francois Bourgel case, which is this sloped case towards the lugs. Drilled lug holes, really, really beautiful. Slightly later crown, which is a bit of a shame. I'd like to find an original Bourgel crown for that. But, I mean, wow. Original dial, original hands, original radium. You've got this almost glossy black dial with gilt, which is like gold on the logo. And around the outside, which just glimmers. I mean, this is a very, very special piece. And the movement was converted by Mido. It's actually a sub-seconds movement. And it was converted by Mido to have a center seconds pinion. And to my watchmaker and multiple others I've shown this, they've been bewildered by it. But it was done by Mido themselves. And as Danny, the photographer, said, I should probably reach out to Mido and see if they have any information on this. And I still haven't done it, but I will get round to that at some point, because there's no other examples out there on it. And something I should mention is it's 35mm in steel. So some of you will probably hear me talk and go, what's he going on about? I've seen these 28mm, 29mm. Not another one has ever come up in 35mm anywhere. For sale, not for sale in a forum anywhere. There's no other example of this. And speaking to some very, very well-known collectors of, Midos and the Francois Bourgel, they've never seen one before either, and they didn't know something like this existed. So for that reason, this has stayed in the collection. There was a moment where I was having to get together some funds to do the next part of the business. It's a common thing with this, unfortunately. And these, as much as they're amazing and I love them, sometimes I have to let go of some to sustain the business. Not sustain the business, but do the next steps, to fund the next steps. But a very good collector and friend, you know who you are, was kind enough to actually buy this from me and then tell me not to bother shipping it and keep it in my collection. So to you, thank you very much. You know who you are. You're a very dear friend. So thank you very much. That means an awful lot to me. So this is a watch that's very special. So the final vintage on the table. This is so cool. So story is, my dad has been collecting watches for about as long as I have. He's always had a Citizen, but when I started doing this a bit more full time and started doing more watches, he also started getting a lot more into it. He's always known of watches. He's always had a dream of a Speedmaster. And he used to buy these fun Citizens and all kinds of stuff, Bullivers, all online on eBay. He used to scour the internet and find deals for like £13, £20 for stuff that I would pay someone £200 for if they walked in. It's ridiculous. Don't know how he does it. But there came a point where he had built up so many, and it happens to a lot of people, so many of these affordable watches at these very cheap prices that he hadn't realised what he'd actually accumulated. And one day I was around looking at the collection, I just had my calculator out what I thought I could get for these watches. And I just turned to him and I say, you do realise, if I took all these away and sold them, I could get you that Speedmaster. And he's like, yeah, okay. And I convinced him to let me try. And I think within about 2 and a bit months, we actually had it all done. I'd sold all of his watches, actually not all of them. We actually managed to do most of them and still have enough for the Speedmaster and the extra to get him the big box he wanted, because he likes all that sort of stuff. So, and this was one of his watches that I decided I absolutely love. I've got the connection to Citizen here, but this is so cool. Really interesting case. I'd never seen one before. Crystal 7, whatever that means. You've got an actual glass crystal, which is very annoying because it's got a couple of scratches and I can't replace it because it's JDM specific to this model, and actual glass. You've got the, oh God, what's it called? You've got the Conji date, sorry if I butchered that, I just checked, so blame Danny, yeah. Conji date up there, and you've got the actual normal date as well. I mean, what an incredible looking watch, and one I'm really, really happy to own. And it's kind of cool that my dad found this, probably for an absolute ridiculous deal, and I probably paid him a lot more than what he paid for it. So good job on you, enjoy your Speedmaster, I get to enjoy this. And I think it's kind of cool. All right, so that's all the vintage out of the way, and a couple of the modern I think we've touched on. But now let's go on to a watch I am so in love with. And I'm going to be very honest in this video because I've had a couple of issues with it, and Baltic have been very good to rectify them. I want to say that straight away. But unfortunately, when I received this watch, it stopped working within about an hour or 2 hours. This is the Baltic MR01 for the micro rotor. Absolutely stunning, 36mm brigade numerals. I mean, wow. Design-wise, spectacular. Movement-wise, it has a Chinese micro rotor movement. I knew the risk going into it, so I have to state that off the bat as well. You know, at the end of the day, this isn't a very tried and tested movement, so I am being a bit of a guinea pig here by taking this watch. But it stopped after 2 hours. It went back to them and they rectified it. It came back and I was wearing it for quite a while and then it just straight up stopped again. It wasn't keeping particularly that good time. And after that time, it completely stopped again. I let them know. They sent me a tracking label to go obviously send it back. And the watchmaker was around and we were just talking. He was looking at it. He's like, I have no idea. He didn't take the case back off or anything, just looking for a loop. He's like, I have absolutely no idea. And jokingly on the soft mat, I went, well, I'm a watchmaker. Watch this. And I just went whack. Quite hard on the table. And lo and behold, it worked. The watch has started working again. It's been working since. So I'm officially a watchmaker. Send me your broken watches. I will whack them to death and they might start again. But yeah, it's running now. It's running about 2-3 minutes a day, fast, so not very good. I don't know. I will get it sorted eventually, but design-wise, incredible. I absolutely love this. I think Baltic, you absolutely nailed it. Congratulations. Movement-wise, can we start to upgrade the movements, please? Let's start looking at some better movements, and I'm willing to pay the premium for it. But this movement has not been very good, so I would not recommend it. And I know multiple people who have not had very good experience with it. But you'll probably hear in another video soon from our photographer who has the same watch in blue, who's had good experiences so far. So you will hear both sides. But from my experience, movement is crap. So yeah, put a good movement in it, please. But a cool watch. Okay, so next, Affairs. And Nicholas, if you're watching this, I do still have it. This watch was given to me by Nicholas a long time ago as a watch to wear. I want to say it was when I was going on holiday to Rome. It could have been before that. Or was it for review? I can't remember. But Nicholas was very kind and gave me this watch. I think it was for a review. And I never got around to doing the review and I forgot about it. And then I wore the watch away to Rome. And basically, I've just had this watch in my possession ever since. I still have all the box and everything like that. And I've just never really given it back. So, Nicholas, if you'd like this watch back, let me know. But, I mean, it does get some wrist time every now and again. Leah actually wears this every now and again as well. And this is the Redcliffe Continental GMT, basically. So a really gorgeous design. It's a quartz movement, I believe a Ronda inside. You've got the globe in the center. Just a beautiful looking watch. You've got date, and the GMT, interestingly, is a little box down at 6 o'clock that rotates rather than a specific hand. So a bit more of a different way to show a GMT without sort of having an extra hand. I think it's quite nice, really nice case, nice profile. One that doesn't get an awful amount of wrist time because I obviously have the Brunswick, and if I'm going to choose a Fears out of the box, it's going to be that one. But a good looking watch nonetheless, and one I'm very honoured to still have in the collection. For how much longer, I don't know. It depends if Nick sends the bailiffs round to come get it, but let's see. But one I'm very happy to own. So we're nearly there. Let's have a look at one I added recently and one I'm very happy to have as well. I've probably said that about each watch. Sorry for repeating myself, but this is a Gecko. You can hear that rotor, probably. I don't know if you can. But this is a Gecko jump hour. So I used to have a very gorgeous sterling silver jump hour watch in my collection from the 1920s. A very gorgeous watch. I picked it up at a flea market for, I want to say £30, and it was just about working, and through the fact I had some donor movements from other jump hours, we managed to get it fully working, and I enjoyed it for a very long time. And one day I decided I would put it in auction just to see what it would do, and I set a silly reserve, and I sold it for, I want to say, over £600, which was ridiculous. So I was quite happy with that. I let it go, but you know what? I do regret it because jump hours are cool, but also it was a very clean 1920s example that I'm probably never going to see again. Silly mistake for me, and one where I just saw the money and thought, yeah, I mean, I'm human like the rest of you guys, okay? I'm sorry. But I have this one. This is their Gecko jump hour with beautiful brigade numerals. The jump hour is actually at the top, sub-seconds, and the minute hand that goes around the dial. Really clean, really classic. And I'm a sucker for brigade numerals, as you can tell. I think they are the best numerals out there. End of conversation, done. But this one, very, very cool, very inexpensive as well. I've actually got it paired on a ostrich strap that was made for me by the strap tailor for a Cartier I used to own, which unfortunately I had to sell. To fund some next parts of the business, again, something you hear often. But this strap is paired nicely on here. I think the strap is almost as expensive as the watch. As you can see, I quite enjoy doing that. At the end of the day, put what you like on what you like and enjoy it. And this is one that doesn't get enough wrist time, but when I do wear it, I end up wearing it for a couple of days straight. It's that kind of watch. I'm sure we all have those in our collection. But yeah, really cool. Definitely check out what Gekota are doing. I think their watches are getting better and better. So it's interesting to see. Okay, so 2 more to go, and I'll be really quick with this one. This is a G-Shock Casio in grey. I have this to basically not get bullied by every watch person out there, because you have to have a G-Shock. God tier, all that, you know, Nico, yes. I get it. These are fantastic. You haven't got to worry about them. I mean, they're robust. You can run them over with a tank and nuke it and it will still be alive. Probably not the nuking, but still. I mean, they're ridiculous. I get it. But for me, it just doesn't fit my lifestyle. It doesn't fit what I do. I mean, I wore it to a bonfire night and firework display. I wore it putting together some furniture. So I guess I use it in the common ways of using it. But in terms of wearing it out and about, never done that. I don't go to the gym. I say I do, but I don't. So it doesn't get used for that either. It's a watch that sits in the watch box, and then if someone goes on about G-Shock, I can go, I've got one, it's okay. You don't have to educate me, I know. I don't really like it. Got to be honest, but I get it. So it's in there, practicality. If you like G-Shock, fair enough. I think my dad has about 5. So yeah, to each their own. And the final watch, a watch that actually I've added to the collection today. So this is a Christopher Ward 65 Trident GMT. I think that's the one, and it's in blue. Discontinued watch now, actually. I believe they still have the black and the white on the website. The blue was the most popular, so apparently it sold out first. But a watch I've been wanting to add a Christopher Ward to the collection for a while. I took this in as part exchange against something else, and I thought, you know what? It's Christmas, it's New Year. I'm not going to be in the office anyway. Let me take this watch for myself, enjoy it, and see how I get on with it. I'm unsure how I feel about the blue dial. I really like it. Is it going to be something that's going to be in the collection long term? I don't think so. So we'll see how that pans out. But either way, it might be something I enjoy and then sell for the white dial, because I think that's my favourite. But yeah, a GMT, Christopher Ward, one that probably won't be in the collection next year. So let's see. But there you have it. That is my state of the collection for 2021. We had 2 Cartiers last year. We had the Tank and the Santos. We had a new old stock Zenith that was bonkers. We had so many incredible watches. And I am so fortunate to have been able to enjoy and own those watches. And I'm so fortunate to be able to enjoy and own these watches today. In terms of where it will be next year, I have no idea. There's a couple of pieces in here I will definitely never sell. There's some that I'm already looking at going, they're probably going to be gone next year, in all honesty. But at the end of the day, buy what you like, and I've tried to do that here. You can see I've not followed hypes and trends. I buy what I enjoy, and that's the most important thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm in a very fortunate position where I get to handle watches every single day, some that I will probably never ever be able to afford. So my core collection is stuff I really, really love. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. I have no idea what's going to be added next year, so keep an eye out. Maybe this will become the usual thing. December 2022, we'll do a state of collection again and see where it's all at. I think that'll be fun. So we'll see you all again next year. Have a great Christmas and have a good New Year's as well. Take care.